rare that companies talk openly about their challenges, but when we visited AMD in Austin, Texas, we finally got to hear some of the behind-the-scenes stories on how AMD bet everything on Ryzen.
We were betting the company on Zen. And so like Lisa came down, and to preview the demo. And I just remember her reaction. She was like, it's not really that exciting.
Oh, man.
We're like,
these two guys are Bill and Amit, two engineers at AMD who head up not only the overclocking showmanship, but I/O and core testing, as well as engineering. These guys walked us through the AMD Austin campus for an upcoming separate video, an unprecedented lab tour of AMD's facilities, ranging from testing to device analysis. But along the way, we got first row seats to a gripping story about how Zen came to be.
they found 2 parts that worked at room temperature.
Oh man, okay.
So literally we have 2 parts
I
in
can feel the secondhand stress.
Oh, dude.
This video wasn't meant to be part of our lab tour shoot with AMD. It was just a side conversation. But the conversation was so uniquely insightful to the behind the scenes of CPU design and brain-up that we had to run it as a standalone piece. We even got to learn about unreleased products like dual CCD X3D parts.
This is a 16 core with dual X3D CCD, so 192 megs of cache.
Today we're learning from Bill and Amit about how Zen almost didn't make the first showcase. We have at least 3 additional lab tour videos coming up after this, so be sure to subscribe and check back regularly over the course of the next week for the next one, because it'll be a big lab tour. For now, let's hear some stories of Zen. Before that, this video is brought to you by the Lexar NM800 Pro Gen 4 SSD. The NM800 is a heavy-duty SSD with an included heatsink, thermal pad contact to the heatsink, and high transfer speeds across a Gen 4x4 NVMe interface. The Lexar NM800 Pro is available in 512GB, 1TB, and 2TB capacities, and Lexar notes that its included heat spreader, plus its choice of NAND, allows it to run at 7,500 megabytes per second sequential read and 6,500 megabytes per second sequential write at fastest. Learn more at the link in the description below.
When Bill told me you were coming, I wanted to come and get some of the kind of historical parts from the history of Zen. So, okay, so the first one is this one. So let's open this up. So check this out. So this part, you can see it looks kind of old school.
Yes.
So this is a Zen A0 part. So the first version of Zen, and you can see on there it's part 19. This is literally...
Is it actually the 19th one?
The 19th Zen ever made.
Did it start at 0 or 1?
It starts at 1.
Who has 1?
I think Lewis might have it.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to ask him. But they came on a tray, right?
Yeah.
So this is like from literally the first tray of Zen parts that we ever got.
That's cool.
Right?
So when was this 2016?
This is April 2016.
Okay.
Yeah, so that got me thinking. So, these bring-ups are a big event. We fly in dozens, 100 people from all over the world to Austin. Right? We have the BIOS experts, board experts, OS, everything.
Yeah.
We're all excited. We know when the part's coming because we're tracking it through the fab. So we're all here. And I still remember we're all in this conference room. And the day before the part gets here, they tell us they found a problem. and basically memory didn't work.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
And memory's like one of the first things we do is copy the BIOS into memory. Right. And so we're like, what are we gonna do? Right. So anyway, we worked on it. It was a colossal engineering challenge. How do you boot a system without memory, right? So we did some. We can go into detail on that maybe some other time. But anyway, we did a quick rev.
So were you able to get it? It sounds like you had like basically 24 hours to figure it out.
We had 24 hours to start coming up with a plan of what to do. Right?
Who is involved in this crisis mode process? I mean, is it the team you guys are on? Is it like everybody?
It was all hands on deck, right? Because we had to say, okay, where's the memory in the system? What can we use? Should we use memory off PCIe? Should we use memory off USB? Just brainstorming what we could do to get something to work. So back then you could do the revs quicker. So we did a quick rev to get a part back with memory working, right?
That is a very quick rev.
Yeah, at the time,
too quick.
At the time, it seemed like a long time, but it was 3 weeks or something, right? So then we were like, all right, we got memory. So okay, let me back up a little bit. We were able to get memory working on those first parts, but back then it was 2133.
Yeah.
We got it working at 18.
Okay.
18 megahertz.
Oh. Wait,
9 megahertz.
not 1866.
Not 1860.
You said 18. I thought you were using shorthand. You meant 18.
Literally.
You meant 18.0.
18.0.
Oh my god. Okay.
So with that, we were.
So was that good? I mean, because like it
let
works.
us at least check functionality out.
Okay.
But it took like hours
Right.
just to post, right? but it was proof of concept at least.
Right.
So then we got the parts back with memory, right? That was the second rev, and that, we proved the memory worked. We had some issues with the caching at that point, so we had to run with caches disabled for a long time. About this time, we find out Computex is coming up, right? And the company wants to do a demo. We're like, what are you talking about?
So would this have been like June 2016, May 2016?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
like, I think June 5th is when we
And it would have
did
been
the demo.
Ryzen, like proper, or Bristol Ridge, or when was
Ryzen
this?
wasn't even a name then.
Okay.
Right? It was only Zen.
Yeah.
Right. We did the Ryzen name launch after that.
Yeah, because I want to say timelines. I think the press event with like the wooden box that said Ryzen. You remember that? Like,
yeah.
I think that was
like
2017,
March,
right?
February 2017, something like
Yeah.
that.
Okay, so you're way before that.
Yeah, this is when we did the first reveal, the AMD Zen thing. We find out that, hey, they want to do this demo at Computex. Okay, then we need a part that works, that works in the system. And so what we found out is that the second rev of parts worked if you got it really cold. Right?
Okay.
So we had these chillers, and we're cooling down to minus 40 C.
I know another company that had chillers. At
Well,
Computex.
that was a very different reason. Yeah. Bill was actually on that chiller. Yeah.
I use that chiller.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's in the High Cookies lab.
Yes, it is.
So we went through the fab, had them screen hundreds, thousands of parts. They found 2 parts that worked at room temperature.
Oh man. Okay.
So literally, we have 2 parts.
I can feel the secondhand stress.
Oh, dude. So we have 2 parts in the whole world, okay, that run at room temperature. So like, oh yeah, you're on for the demo. We're like,
Yeah.
so then I still remember the first demo we did was just you booted up Windows desktop, had like task manager showing all the cores and everything, right? And so like Lisa came down, and to preview the demo,
Right.
and I just remember her reaction. She was like, "It's not really that exciting."
Oh man.
And we're like, "You're like, do you know what it took to even get this going?"
Yeah.
I mean, she knew, right?
She
But,
knows, but she also knows what a stage audience wants
yeah,
to see,
exactly,
right? Yeah.
exactly. And
That's
so,
the challenge.
yeah, and at that point, I mean, you know where AMD was at the time.
And
Just to stay in
I feel like
business.
that's
Yeah.
worth maybe contextualizing for anyone who wasn't kind of like there when this was all happening. But yeah, we obviously weren't in the position you guys are in, but from the outside we could see it in a very different scope.
Yeah.
And before Ryzen, so Ryzen 1 launches around 2017 sometime, and it wasn't perfect. It took a while to get the platform maturity, all this stuff. But I distinctly remember as a reviewer looking at it and going, okay, there's a chance. Like this can go somewhere, right? And up until that point, for years, basically, I remember we had trouble where we were trying to keep AMD parts on the benchmark charts when Intel would launch these things, because it's like I can't have a chart filled with only Intel CPUs. But as you know, like AMD with Bulldozer, PileDriver, all that stuff, there weren't as many chips just in pure numbers of SKUs as Intel, and they weren't as competitive as Ryzen. And so to like kind of contextualize when this was all happening, AMD, I feel like was in a very scrappy, like, we're gonna make this happen, right? Like,
We had to. We were betting the company on
Right.
Zen, effectively, right? That's how we were treating it, right?
yeah,
Were we really? I don't know, but it was close.
yeah. I mean,
So-
it's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Like, because
Yeah, because normally you wouldn't do a Computex demo when you only have 2 working parts in the whole world.
Right.
Right. That's not something,
But again, like
You
the
normally
unique
do.
position of
Yeah.
AMD, because I don't remember what the uplift was. I remember, someone on the architecture team got up on stage, Mike Clark probably, and said something about like a 50-something% uplift or whatever it was, and like that was possible because of sort of where AMD was up until that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
There
relative
was even
to-
bigger IPC uplift on like my I/O workloads that I care about. There was almost 100% uplift. So
And that was
Right.
IPC, and then we also doubled the cores.
Right.
So it ended up.
So how did that
overall.
Did that end up going to Computex for actual demo?
Yeah. So we had the 2 parts. One of them we fused at 400 megahertz. We're like, that's our safe part, right? That one will work and do what we need to do.
That's the backup.
The other part was the one I had, and so I was pushing it a little bit, right, to see what we could do in case we had to do some sort of performance thing or whatever, right? So that one eventually I got running at like 2.2 gig, right, core. But we had to still figure out what we're doing. So then we played around with doing like a Cortana. It tells you how long. Like it seems like a long time ago, but
yeah.
So we were gonna, have Lisa talk to Cortana and have it talk back, and we're like, okay, no, this is lame.
Yeah.
So then we ended up going with what we went with, where we played a video, I think, and it was rendered on the machine. And, yeah, and then we did the AMD Zen reveal and all that. Right.
So I do remember I don't know if it was that event, but I remember the sort of Blender cyclical rendering, right?
Yep.
Yeah, like concentric rendering.
Yep.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so the second part I carried in this case.
Okay.
In this backpack on the plane from Fort Collins to Taiwan. Right? Like I literally had the company, on me.
Right. On your back.
Yeah, and I'm like, I can't lose this. I can't mess it up.
Right.
It has pins. I'm like, I have to go. I have to be there. Another story. So you see this case? The reason I know it's this case is it's green. So AMD used to use green before.
I remember,
before we bought ETI.
There's probably some logos around here somewhere, but I remember.
So that's no longer compliant. But,
right,
yeah,
right.
But it's, okay, all right. So that's that.
You have other historical artifacts?
Yes. Okay, so check this out. So these are the initial Raven prototypes. So this is the first Zen APU, right? Zen 1 APU. So you see anything different between these two?
Other than obviously the sort of shell on the outside.
Yeah, the shell is different. See the sticker?
I do see the sticker.
So the initial prototypes were like this one on the right, where we actually laser etched the die. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Right. And so it's just one of the debugs we did. We were debugging those parts, and there was always this one particular section of the cache that wasn't working, and like this particular scan chain on the part, and we were like, this doesn't make any sense, right? So we spent a while debugging it. Eventually, I got like a floor plan of the chip. And then someone sent me the laser pattern that was on there. And we found that where this laser was marking was like right over where the cache was dying.
Okay, so was the laser damaging it?
I think it was etching too deep or something, right? And so, but like when you're debugging stuff, you never know where you're gonna end up. In this case, it was the laser etching on the part that ended up being what we had to debug. And so, so that's why we went to these stickers now. So,
was that like, how long did it take to figure that out, I guess?
That was weeks. That was weeks to figure out. Because, I mean, you don't think that it's going to be something physical like that.
No,
we're looking at
think like
the design,
electrical,
voltage, all that stuff, right? And eventually, once we got the picture and we lined it up, we were like, oh my God, that's it.
Yeah.
So that was pretty nuts. Okay, this one. So X3D. Okay, so this is the first prototype of the 5800.
I see the fused at 4 gigahertz.
Right, Josh is actually the one who fused it. So, so this part. Okay, so this is a funny story. So the original X3D was meant for server, right? So back then we had eight CCDs per part. And so they built all these parts. They had 7 left over.
Okay.
So I asked them, hey, can we build some AM4 parts? So we got 3 2+1s and 1 1+1, just to use up the 7 that wouldn't make up a full Epic part.
Sure.
And that's what we got to do the gaming studies, right? And that's what we were able to prove that X3D is not only good for server, it's like killer for gaming. Like
this, I remember the first X3D announcement. The reason I remember this is because normally I watch a keynote and we've typically been pre-briefed, and I'm like, I gotta sit here just in case.
Yeah.
And normally the just in case is like not enough to go re-edit and shoot the video.
Yeah.
This one, when Lisa's like, here's the stacked thing and here's some numbers. I do remember being actually excited when filming that news segment, which is very rare for a news segment for me. And I also remember talking to Matt off camera over here at the time. And he was like, yeah, I'm amazed we kept that a secret that long. Because it didn't leak.
Yeah.
That's like one of the only things that didn't leak.
Yeah, but it wasn't even supposed to be a product, right? It was supposed to be server stuff. But when we saw the gaming upload, we're like, okay, we got to make this into something.
Make it a thing.
So this one actually has 2 X3Ds.
Okay.
Right, so it's a 16 core. It would have been a whatever 5950 X3D.
Right.
Right. But
and I remember I think the first demo on stage was a higher end part than what was shipped initially. I don't remember.
I think so. Yeah, we ended up just shipping the one CCD.
Yeah, so, it was some 50 SKU, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, we weren't sure. You know, it was the end of the AM4, right? We weren't sure, but it's still selling like crazy.
58 X3D is a very desirable chip still. So.
Yeah, but that's started with this chip right here.
That's cool.
Right, just an idea. Hey, let's see, let's give it a shot. So
is that something where? So when you say fused at 4 gigahertz, what do you really mean? I guess.
Yeah. So the way our parts are configured, right? You know, we have different OPNs, different SKUs, different models. So anything that is specific, either to a part or to a model, we put in diffuses. So they're actually physical wires that we blow on the chip, right? That could be read as a 1 or a 0, right? And that tells, hey, here's the frequency, here's my Fmax, here's the voltage I should run at, here's my FV curve. You know, anything that's per part gets fused in that way.
Cool.
So initially when we get prototypes, we don't know how to fuse them. So we get what's called unfused parts, right? And once we have a recipe, you know, then we fuse it in.
Okay.
And so that goes back to the JTAG with our hardware, the debug tool or the Wombat, right? Those unfused parts, we can write those fuses in with JTAG and create that recipe right there on the fly.
Yeah, we call that soft fusing.
Yeah. So then it can be an 8-core, and we can down-core it or whatever, and define other characteristics of the part through that.
Right. Cool.
Yeah. Okay, so that's that one. This one. We'll see if it makes it past the editors, but this is a Chagall part.
Okay.
Okay. So this, as you know, we release only the workstation part.
Right.
All right. So this is actually a prototype for a HEDT Chagall.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So we did build them.
Yeah.
Right, and we tested them out. We just ran into some issues with prioritizing it.
Sure.
Right,
yeah.
At the time, but
it does exist.
It does exist. Yeah.
Can I ask how many cores that particular
It was a 64.
That was 64.
Yeah, it was 64 core, 4 memory channel, right?
Okay,
So that's how you get the HEDT cost down,
right?
But yeah, no, it's real. It's just so.
Oh, they work. I can show you down here.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So this is my engineer Nathan. So he helps make sure a lot of this stuff keeps on ticking every day. He's doing graphics card overclocking actually right now.
Cool.
So this is
it's a very heavily loaded CPU.
Yeah. So I plugged these in, updated the BIOS, and got these going last week. So this one's been running 135 hours, and this one's at 111.
So it's stable.
So you can see, these parts actually work. So I'll kill that.
And this, what would this? Is this 7000? Is this like 7950?
So these are actually AM4.
Okay.
So these are X3D. If you look in the task manager here, you can see this is a 16 core with dual X3D CCD, so 192 megs of cache.
Okay.
Over here, similar situation, but this is a 12 core, but also with the full stack cache on both, right? So, on AM4, he made those first experimental ones.
Yeah.
And then they made parts that were dual X3D, like these ones that we have here. And we made some hybrid ones, like the 7950X. We did that on AM4 as well. And then obviously we released the 5800 X3D. But, people were like, why didn't they make a 16 core or 12 core and do this and that and we did, and we tried them, and for various reasons these weren't productized.
Well, I mean, so the gaming perk's the same, right?
Yeah.
One
and
CCD or two CCD, because you want to be cache resonant, right? And once you split into two caches, you don't get the gaming uplift. So we just made the one CCD version. But then we got feedback that, hey, I do occasionally want to do productivity stuff. That's why we came up with the two CCD one.
So as you can see, these are legit working parts with maybe not so friendly names, but but yeah.
I guess taking it back to when Vcache was first being attempted, what did the process look like in terms of, when you have an idea, when someone on the team has an idea for, hey, I've got this design approach where we attach more cache to the top of a CCD, what steps do you go through? Does the person pitch that to someone specific in the company, or how do you go about turning the idea into an actual proof of concept?
Okay, so in the design process, we have this point we call high-level definition, right? And that's where we try and define the the feature set for the product. And all the major features should be comprehended then with resource, timeframes, and all that.
Okay.
For something like X3D, the Vcache, there's a fab component to it, right? Process component, right? So we have separate timelines for process improvements. You know, most of it's just the different nodes, making sure we get all the different information with the different nodes. But something like Vcache was like a completely new technology, right?
Because I remember Threadripper was a somewhat similar story where Macquarie, does that sound right?
Macquarie was involved.
Joe Macquarie.
Yeah.
James Pryor was involved.
Anil Harwani.
So I spoke with them
right.
back when that happened, and I remember some of the storytelling was similar. Of it's kind of like this almost scrappy, like, hey, here's an idea, let's see what happens.
Yeah, and again, you know, a lot of times you do parts maybe. It'll get you like a benchmark win or whatever, right?
Right.
You don't know if anyone's going to buy it.
Right.
And we get surprised sometimes. Like Threadripper became a great seller.
Yeah.
Right? We're like, who's going to pay that much for that? But if you wanted, a lot of people do work at home and do productivity stuff.
Yeah.
And some people
we used them in our editing machine.
Yeah. Some people just want the best, right?
Yeah.
And they're willing to
So is
pay for it.
Do you have to be like a PM or someone like that to move a product idea into where it gets taken seriously?
No. We have we have this Jira system, right? And so anyone can log an enhancement request, right?
Cool.
And then it might get rejected for one program, but we can move it, clone it forward to a different program, and it'll get evaluated. Yeah, so anyone can come up with an idea.
That's cool. I mean, I like that.
Yeah. They don't all make it through, obviously.
Well, I mean, of course not. Right? There's a lot of business and logistics behind it too.
But you're right. Yeah, Threadripper came out of that. X3D, the client version came out of that. Right. So yeah, that's cool. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's kind of the end of this side discussion. We were getting looked at by the rest of the AMD team at this point for quite some time. We're getting looked at from over here. So
okay.
Let's
I think they're hungry.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we headed out, and then we continued the rest of the tour later. Check back for our full detailed lab tour of AMD's Austin headquarters. It's really cool content. We're working hard on putting it all together, and we'll be posting that within the next week. So make sure you check back regularly to catch that video. For now, thanks for watching. Subscribe for more as always. And if you want to support this type of content where we fund all of our own travel expenses for this stuff, go to store.gamersnexus.net and grab a mod mat, a shirt, a toolkit, coaster pack, or something like that. You can also go to patreon.com/gamersnexus or subscribe as a member on our YouTube page. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all next time.